everybody, and welcome back to our channel. I am Jen, this is James, and this is Fundy Fridays. And if you're new here, we are engaged and getting married very soon.
I'm gonna marry that one soon.
Yes, very soon. And we talk about different aspects of Christian fundamentalism, American conservative politics, pop culture, gay stuff, and quite often the Duggars, but that's not for today. Although the Pearls are related to the Duggars, but it's like 5 degrees of Kevin Bacon. It's like 5 degrees of separation. Everybody leads back to the Pearls, quite honestly. And since we are in the middle of wedding planning, we need to record quite a few easy episodes, and this is one of them. So a friend gave us this random ass Michael Pearl DVD as a gift, and I felt like it's just, I feel like it just needs to be reviewed. I don't think this will be copyright claimed because that would mean that Michael Pearl has like a copyright lawsuit team. Who knows? I will fight him.
I feel no sympathy for this man. I very much detest him.
If you aren't aware, Michael Pearl and Debbie Pearl, they started a ministry called No Greater Joy Ministries, which I think is funny because the children don't feel any joy after they go through their program. And they wrote a book called To Train Up a Child, which is basically an instruction manual on how to abuse your child in creative and unusual ways. And they didn't invent, but they certainly popularized blanket training, which the Duggars did, and several fundies still do, which is where you put an infant on a blanket, and then you entice them off the blanket with a toy or a snack, and then you hit them as they exit the blanket, and then that will instill this fear of you, which will be lifelong, and they will grow to resent their parents and never talk to them again. And then the grandparents wonder why they can't see the grandkids. It's really obvious, people. Anyway.
Kids are so entitled these days when they're not wanting to get hit and whatnot.
I know, right? So besides being a former child, do you have any other qualifications that you think would make your opinions and discussions worthwhile?
I spent a few years doing youth casework. I also was a preschool tutor for 2 years in college. So I've worked with children. I've been around children. I also, like, tangentially, having worked with you on it, we're probably accidentally, like, we're probably some of the people on Earth who've watched the most Michael Pearl.
Yeah, we've watched Michael Pearl's actual solo channel, yes. Debbie Pearl's channel. I've read To Train Up a Child twice.
And what I can tell you is, like...
So we're kind of experts, but we don't have children.
I mean, as one might... If you haven't seen any of our stuff from before, as one might expect, like, for a guy whose, like, actual job description is child abuse manual writer, he's very off the wall, as you might expect, given that job title. Eccentric.
But not in a fun way.
Violent.
In a Unabomber way.
Awful way.
Please check out our other Pearl video, because we not only talk about the book, we talk about the Pearl's old blog, where Debbie basically describes Michael assaulting her on their honeymoon, but she puts it in like a fun, quirky, old-timey way. Talk about several of their videos, which have upsetting content, and we talk about the children who are dead because of their teachings. Yeah, so check that out. Oh, also we talk about classic psychological experiments.
Yeah!
Like the wire monkey.
Yeah, Harlow's Monkeys. Don't Google it. It's
Was
awful.
there another one we talked about? I can't remember.
Did we talk about Little Albert in that one? That was psychological torture.
We need to, if we haven't, anyway.
Yeah, you condition a phobia. We talked, I think.
Yeah, so lots of psychological torture going on. Lots of child abuse.
Putting that bachelor's of mind to use.
This is Child Training 101, 2009 California seminar. And would you like to read the back?
Sure, absolutely. In the middle of January 2009, we held a seminar in Southern California. The 3 sessions were packed out with 1,200 happy souls. We took along a professional videographer and got some great footage. This is so weird. Our evening session, Child Training 101, takes the viewer back to the basics. The audience was great, and Deb and I had loads of fun.
They had no choice but to be great.
Why is this in the blurb on the back of the box? So far, I've learned nothing. The audience laughed and hooted when I wasn't even trying to be funny. Now you just...
He wrote his own Wikipedia.
This sucks. This is so stupid. You and your children will enjoy and benefit from this 90-minute session. Come on, Johnny, let's watch this DVD so I can learn some creative ways to wail on that ass. If you want to introduce child training principles to a friend, this professionally produced DVD will make a
Okay,
great
so imagine
impact.
you go over to your friend's house for fellowship and fried
Faith,
meats.
fun, and fellowship.
Right, and then he's like, "Oh, I noticed your little Johnny was acting up," and then you hand him this DVD, and then you never talk to that person again.
I dropped my vape. Do I get 10 lashes
Yeah.
from Mr. Michael?
Michael Pearl, founder and director of No Greater Joy Ministries, has written on child training and family issues. Oh my God, honey, it says ISSES.
No.
Family issues for many years.
Where is this? Spell correctly. You
He and his wife, Debbie, were among the pioneers in the homeschool movement. No, they weren't. You didn't invent homeschooling, jackass. And also, I don't trust you if that's how you're spelling words.
Faith, fun, family, and flogging.
1000 Pearl Road, Pleasantville, Tennessee. Is this real? Or did they... Do you think they have like a gravel road and they... like?
Yeah,
'cause
it's not that hard. Well, also, if you build like an access road, they'll let you name it.
There's nothing inside, no extra things.
Yeah.
All right.
No study guides this time. I was hoping, too. He seems like the type that would come up and hit your kids for you.
Yes.
And think he's doing you a favor.
Yes.
He's like, oh, I can tell your swinging arm's tired. Let me just get in there and... God.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to be a jerk. I really hate this guy, and I want to make fun of him
it's
because
on
he's
site.
so terrible. Don't treat kids like this. They're small, and they're nice, and they're learning.
I really doubt there's subtitles. No, there's not.
We gotta call Angelica again. The jazz piano before we start the seminar.
Comic Sans.
We're going to talk about the joy of training. Now, as I wrote to train up a child, Deb and I together.
But this was in 2009, this seminar, and the first of the children that died from his teachings was in 2010. Just so you know.
This is hopefully right at his most unhinged.
Hopefully for the video, not hopefully because I
Not for the children. I hope that his works are burned and buried in a hole like the E.T. cartridges.
Yeah.
We had not read any books on it.
Oh, we know,
and
dude. We're
we
aware.
just really were doing what came natural to us. It's amazing, it's wonderful that you don't have to do everything right for your children to come out well. Somehow God makes up the difference, grace makes up the difference, love makes up the difference, and joy makes up the difference.
See, now this was the problem. See, even I make mistakes. Used to be I was swinging real hard from the wrist. And what I learned is that puts a lot of tension right here. You can only get 4 to 5 good. Now, if you swing from the shoulder, you're getting all that torque. And that torque is where God's love is.
So I want to say to you that child training, first and foremost,
If you're not enjoying it while you're hitting them, then you're doing it wrong. Because God put the child here on earth with their squishy, fleshy bodies so you could get more of an impact.
Now, see, you gotta have a little fun with it. Like sometimes when I'm there with a kid, I'll just pretend I'm Muhammad Ali in a prize fight. You know, I'm just, oh, it's George Foreman. Boom, boom, and I've won the battle against Satan, and I won the prize for that night. It's incredible.
At the end of the day, it's not very funny, is it?
they may end up a little bit lazy or with some bad habits or disorganized or sloppy, but as long as they're raised in the soil of joy, they're going to be all right. So we're going to talk about the joy.
As long as your kids are in the happy dirt, they'll be
training.
fine.
Now, the Bible says, I have no
somebody
greater
take
joy
that
than to
kid
hear
and
that
shut
my
them
children
up.
walk in truth.
What do you want to bet he has that kid there as a plant to prove that he doesn't hit kids? I think that kid's on tape. I think that is a sound effect that was added in post.
No, I think that we're gonna stop. We're gonna abruptly stop hearing. Well, we're gonna hear more cries and then no cries. Man is a monster.
This man is an actual bad person.
Great passage in 3 John. Now, my kids are grown now, 35-year-old daughter.
They don't talk to me.
30-year-old
It's all
son,
right.
something like that. All I know is he's an inch taller than me now. He's 6'5".
He doesn't know his child's
And,
birthday.
But he knows that he's shorter
weighs
than
20
him.
pounds more,
Because you
and
know
he
it
doesn't have any
eats
fat.
away at him
And
every day. Look at you, you're
Then we
short
have
sack of scrap.
at least one
Can't
is
even be taller
25,
than your own
right? At
kid.
least, yeah, I can't keep all those ages. And we've got 14 or 15 grandkids. How many? 14, 15, 14?
These are things you should know,
I don't know
Mikey.
whether to count the ones in the belly or not, but I think it's...
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to turn this off.
Excuse me, sir? You count the belly, the who and the what now?
You need to leave.
This is a very poorly arranged church that he's
What is
in.
this clear? Is it so you can tell he's like not jerking off?
Honey, it's probably clear because it's probably made of cheap plastic and it's cheap for the church to get. Wooden podiums are expensive and heavy.
How much is a wooden podium run? Put it in the comments.
I've never had to buy one.
We should get that prayer bench from the antique store that we keep making fun of. We should just actually bring it home.
Vote yes or no in the comments if you think we should buy the prayer bench.
How much, what's the cutoff where you're like, that's too expensive for a joke?
I feel like a clean...
I would be willing to pay $100.
I'm $100. As soon as you hit that third digit, it needs to be something serious. But anything $99.99 and below, I will spend on whimsy. I swear to God.
So when those kids come home, which is some of them every day, when they come around the house and bring their kids, and they love their mom and daddy, and they're walking in truth, and I see their wisdom. Or when one of my boys stands up in church and delivers his message of wisdom to the church, there's no greater joy than that.
He said the thing.
He said
All
the name
things
of
in life
You're just
pale in comparison
laugh.
to the joy of having your children walk in truth. And so I stand with that verse. Now, nothing could be sweeter when that little child comes into the world. We look into their face, and no one's a Calvinist when they have a newborn baby. No one looks down and says, "Oh, dirty little filthy." We look into their face, and no one's a Calvinist when they have a newborn baby. No one looks down and says, "Oh, dirty little filthy sinner."
You do, Mike. You do.
The irony of this man saying that he does not think that babies are little sinners when he is straight up calling them like demons in his book, talking about how they're trying to manipulate you and you need to break their will. Shut the fuck up, Mike.
Yeah.
God.
When that baby's born and comes into the world, we look down in the face of the perfect human being till the first time you step on it, right? With them crying and screaming.
Debbie Pearl literally advocates for flicking in the mouth a newborn baby that is breastfeeding.
Yep.
And if they bite you or I don't even think, I mean, I've never breastfed, but I assume they don't have teeth right out the gate. And so I'm like, Debbie Pearl says if they bite you, you pull their hair.
They were so proud of their pull the baby's hair and flick it in the mouth thing that they wrote those thoughts in a book and then sold that book to other people as advice. You don't backpedal out of that. You don't know.
I think
flick
it's just
the
cognitive
babies.
dissonance because people like this really do believe that they love their children by doing this.
And they're not emotionally depressed. They're not disturbed in any way. They're not rebellious, and they're not angry
That's
when
exactly
they come
what
into the
someone
world.
would say if they were disturbed in some way.
Sad thing is they have to spend the first year or two with us, and we get them all messed up, don't we? You know, what happens is when they come into the world,
Violence.
their mama's little sweetheart. And but they grow up, and they're not so cute anymore.
Here we go.
Now, the terrible two, somebody says. My
Good.
child's just
I want a
strong-willed
strong-willed child.
Saying it's just strong-willed. I say, no, they're not strong-willed. They're just not meeting enough resistance. They got a weak-willed mother. That's the problem.
Okay, Freud.
Now, somebody says, it's hyperactive. My child is just a hyperactive kid. I love hyperactive boys. I have a big pile of firewood that needs to be split. I have a garden that needs to be hoed. Send me your hyperactive kid and I will send you a sack of tomatoes.
He'll beat him.
No, here's the real disease. It's HHGMADDNOSD. That's
You have that.
short for hyper hateful, give me attention, discipline deficit, no order syndrome.
Oh, did Mikey say the word wrong?
This is so, like, what is this, a Facebook post come to life?
I do have this disorder for real.
We used to drink out of the hose.
Yeah.
And my dad never hugged me.
These kids need a little bit of riding in the back of the truck treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Except then they fall out.
I wish he had fallen out and cracked his head and died.
You see, in our psychology, sociology world, there is the belief that if you just take a habit, an action, a character trait, and give it some kind of name, then it is thereby a disease, an inherited quality.
That's
for which
100%
the person
how that
is
works,
not
right?
responsible,
Oh,
and
yeah,
therefore
no, this
needs
came out of
to
one of
be
my
treated
textbooks.
with drugs or be ignored.
Michael Pearl says, you need to hit the children harder.
Have you ever tried simply turning off the TV, sitting down with your children, and hitting them?
I've heard
this
that.
guy is like psychology broke. Psychology screaming, crying, throwing up
Psychology
right now.
machine broke.
Beard man slapface over here is qualified to teach me about social psychology. Or abnormal psychology, because he's talking about diagnoses. So great. Teach me about it. I'm just waiting for Father Time to give him a little bit of old school discipline at this point. You can feel it on this guy. He just doesn't like other people. And he's figured out that little kids are the easiest people to take it out on, and so he does. That's my theory. He's just figured out that people, if you dress it up with stupid chalkboard font and cute little numbers and you talk at a podium like you know what you're talking about, that people will listen to you tell your weird messed up stories that eventually lead you
Social
smacking
engineering.
around kids. That's the key. You tell all these violent
You know
parents
how to
that...
do it. Just
No, the liberal media is just holding you back from being the good parent you want to be. And I'm being dead serious. That's the type of shit he'll say. Is just that you need to follow the old ways of doing things. The shit that got kids killed.
No one comes into the world with character flaws, and character flaws are not personality traits. Someone
that
might be
mean?
aggressive
Oh, I'm sure he'll
or
tell us.
somewhat shy, and it be inherited trait. Someone else might be agitated and active and running all over the house, and that can be inherited. But when a kid is angry, that's a character flaw, and they
What?
weren't born with it. When a kid is bitter or lazy,
now, what could he be doing that would make his child bitter and angry and lashing out?
If anger is a character flaw, Mike, I want you to think long and hard about what you're saying here, bud. Because I've met a lot of angry people in my day. They don't write child abuse manuals. That's a kind of anger that's in its own category of anger. So you are, by your own logic, the most flawed human being to ever exist.
that is not a state of birth. That's a condition of heart. Now, confrontation is uncomfortable for everyone.
I think he's got too many slides. I'm just
Sitting
going to
back
say
in
it
my
now.
chair,
yeah,
having a
I
great
thought so, too.
time, and child begins to cut up in the other room. So what do? I just kind of ignore it. Maybe it'll go away, or maybe Mom will take care of it. And so I hear them begin to fight, so I just say from my chair, cut it out in there. And I hear a girl start screaming, no, it's mine. And they begin to carry on. And so I say, am I going to have to come in there? Hoping I don't. And they just keep it up. Now, if I have to get up out of this chair, they know what that means. Finally, I have to get up. So by this time, I'm thoroughly irritated. I am, in fact, angry. They have disturbed my TV program.
This man is just slow talking
What,
his
right
way
in-
through a boomer trying to discipline their grandchild like it would normally happen and intellectualizing
What is he
the
watching?
steps. Huh?
What program is he watching?
Matlock with the sound way too fucking high.
Yeah.
Like
Because
way
he doesn't
too
turn
high.
the subtitles on. He just wants to.
No.
He
I'm
wants
not
to turn
I
it
didn't
up loud.
I didn't buy this television to read my programs.
They got to do that, or my reading, or whatever I'm engaged in. So I go back to where they are, and I get out my switch. Now, the problem is that 5 or 10 minutes that you delayed, they were training themselves to be angry, rebellious, confrontational.
Now see, here's the thing. If you wait to, do all this liberal stuff they tell you, like calm down or get control of your emotions, that's valuable hitting time that's just gone to waste. That's all
If you
gone.
don't get in there and hit them the right way, they're going to grow up to have pronouns.
Responses that you gave when you didn't act and take charge were creating barriers, emotional barriers. We're creating confrontational spirits.
What?
Not only in yourself, but in them. So when you finally do act, you're acting against a great flood of deterioration
What?
in relationships. Now, our enemy is distraction, leading to neglect.
I don't know
Most
if that's what
parents
that
wait
is.
until they're emotionally constrained before they act. Our enemy is distraction, leading to neglect.
I think I remember, wasn't this on From Under the Cork Tree? I
Yeah.
think that was, it's
I
like a
think
deep
so,
cut.
Yeah. Our enemy is distraction leading to neglect.
This man with the beard's been chasing me inside my dreams. He has a switch in his hand, and he's traumatizing me. I can't.
And when he hits me, I have 1,000 screams.
I feel like I turned it from Patrick Stump to like Bad Danzig.
At that point, it's just a playground brawl. It's just big bully.
Because you're hitting him.
You will doubtless because you're bigger and they're so small.
Yes.
And because you can be so much forceful with your anger.
Is he just...
No doubt you will win. You will make them do what you want them to do. The problem is you didn't touch their soul and you didn't train them anything.
Now see, all your physical abuse, it's for nothing if you don't make sure to include the spiritual abuse. It's a two-part system. That's what people don't understand.
I see many parents who are spanking their kids into compliance, but they're not training them. You see, I can take an old wild hog and I can beat him with a stick and make him load onto a trailer.
I'm the guy that comes in and wails on all the animals.
I'm the guy that goes around the zoo and wails on the animals when they're bad.
See, I can take an old wild hog and I can beat him with a stick and make him load onto a trailer. But I haven't made a friend of him.
Sir? I have never been so uncomfortable by been made so uncomfortable by two sentences while also having no idea what was actually being communicated in those sentences.
You know what? Go ahead, hit your kids, okay? But what you need to be focused on is breaking their will. If you're not breaking their will, if you're not psychologically tormenting them, what's the point of even hitting them?
Do you believe in spanking? I do not believe in corporal punishment because I believe that the psyche is the best battleground for punishment.
I haven't trained him, and I've not won his heart. Now, you can do the same thing with a mule or a horse. You can put him in bridle, harness. You can hit him with something. You can compel him.
These
you
are
can
things
ride
that
him
Mike has
until
done
you
to
break
horses
him,
and children.
but you've not made a friend of him.
You know, lay the smack down on them when they act up.
I'll wail on all of them. I'll wail on a giraffe, I'll wail on an otter, I'll even wail on a whale.
And so many parents are breaking their children's will. They are riding them until they are compliant, but that compliance only lasts until they get bigger than their parents, or at least big enough to be defiant.
This is only 10 minutes in, by the way.
Yeah. We found the root cause, the issue here. Michael Pearl is afraid of his sons, and he's afraid of them beating the crap out of him for what he did to them as children. And I think that explains a lot about him now.
12 years old, 14, some as early as 10. Certainly by the time they're 17 or 18. Never think of a child as too young to train.
I'm telling you, motherfuckers.
Didn't you just say we're not supposed to think of the babies as trash?
The lady wrote me and she said, I read your book to train up a child, and we didn't have any young kids, so I used it on my goats.
The fuck have I been saying?
I walked around your zoo, mister. You got some bad animals.
Mr. Milo.
I mean, you got some animals in here that are just begging for a beatdown.
I said, I have some really fine kids now. You know, kids, goats.
Yeah, we get the joke, Mike.
That's true. Yeah, it is.
Cut the mic.
In fact, we saw her in a seminar sometime later after telling us that. And so she said she was able to successfully train her goats with the same principle. So you could train a kid if you can train a goat, right? Now, never think of them as too young to train. Training is done before the need to discipline arises. Good training will keep you from having to discipline. You don't bring a puppy home and put him in the house with your carpet and, oh, look what he did on the floor.
That's what we
Oh,
do.
well, clean it up. He's too young to know the difference. Oh, did it again. Oh, just clean it up. What's that smell?
And you
in here?
know-
I don't know, honey.
Also, rubbing your dog's nose in it and doing the things that he's about to try to use an analogy for, that doesn't even work.
No.
And you will psychologically torture your dog.
Can
God
we also,
forbid you do it to your children.
Can we talk about, we are 12 minutes almost exactly into this video, and he has now compared human children to 3 different kinds of animal. Dog, goat, pig.
Horse.
4. I think we can clearly see, while we don't know a lot about what he thinks of children, we do know he thinks they are subhuman.
And after about 3 weeks, say, don't you think he's getting big enough to train? Oh, he's trained, all right. He's trained anywhere is okay in the house. See, you know that the habits of a puppy are that about an hour after a meal, he's going to find a place to dump it. You know that's going to happen. No question about that. And so knowing that you want him to go in a litter box or on a piece of paper or outside.
How do dogs work?
Sir, are you litter box training your dogs?
You anticipate that behavior and you get ahead of the curve and you make sure that you train him to go where you want him to go before the need arises to get angry or spank him with a piece of paper or be disappointed with the dog you ended up with. Same thing with children. If you know what kind of behavior you want and you know the propensities of a child, then get ahead of the curve and train them before the need to discipline arises. Now here's the dilemma. When children come into the world, now this is theological, okay, for you theologians.
What?
When children come into the world, they have all of the passions.
I don't like this.
I don't like that at all.
Except
No.
one that develops with some
Okay,
hormones.
so we
and
both read that way. Like,
but they have all the passions and the lust.
nope, he's just
The world. Now
gonna.
this is theological.
Oh boy.
Except one that develops with some hormones at about 12 or 13 years old. But they have all the passions and the lust
Lust!
that an adult has. They're capable.
Need we remind you of The Shaft, which is a very disturbing blog post that Michael Pearl wrote about what to do if a pastor is distracted by a tween accidentally flashing underwear under a dress.
Yep.
This is a real blog post that you can still read, I believe. So do not let this man anywhere near anybody under 18.
Of being little Hitlers at 2 years of age.
Jesus Christ!
They're capable of genocide at 3 years of age. They're capable of
Don't look at me. I ain't got jokes for that.
all kinds of criminal acts when they come into the world. Most of all, when they come into the world, they're self-centered.
They can commit war, crime, genocide. They can literally stab you, and worst of all, they are self-centered. Bro.
Number one, and they want to put things in their mouth. They want to taste something. You hand the kid something, and first thing they'll do is taste of it. Then they'll shake it, see what kind of sound it makes. They look at the color, and then they throw it away and pick up something else and go through the same process. They lick everything in the house. And
I think you had a basset
picked up
hound
little
and
kids and they
confused
grab
it
a
for a
handful of
child.
beard and stick it in their mouth. That's the reason I cut it all off before I came here. I don't want these Californians licking on my beard.
You have a full beard, sir.
Okay, look, I know that they've told you a lot of things about California. I know they say a lot of things about the Californians on Fox News. I can assure you with 100% of my being, you are not going to get beard licked in California. You should be marked safe from beard licking. You will be fine, sir.
And so these kids have senses. They have touch. They love to touch things. They love soft stuff rubbed on them. They'll rub mama's hair. They'll rub little blankets, and they like the feel of soft stuff. See? And it sounds to me like a freshly married man. I mean,
I can't do it.
I don't want to play
I can't
anymore.
watch this anymore.
We're not. We are
14
not.
minutes.
We are not yet at 15 minutes. We are close, but not quite. 15 minutes into this.
here, these kids, they just have all of these drives to be tickled and teased and fed.
Every time you
And
hit the
I wanna
space
eat,
bar,
I wanna eat
it
now.
comes back worse.
And just like an old man or something.
Stop it.
Now, they have all those passions, but they have no self-restraint when they come into the world. In other words, they are an automobile with a gas pedal and no brake. And they love
I'm counting
speed.
that as an animal comparison. Life cannot possibly hurt them more than the clothesline I'm about to drop on this kid.
They have no principles, they have no values, but they got all kinds of lust.
Stop it.
And they very quickly develop
damn mic
the belief
off.
that
Somebody
you
cut his mic.
exist to satisfy their lust. Pretty soon they develop a language. Yeah, that's their language. Interpret it, do something, do it now, quicker. He'll go into a screaming fit. And so we began to try to rush in there and meet their needs. And
I better not catch you meeting any kids' needs.
Now, see, that was your mistake. Your child said he was hungry and you made him a sandwich when you should have given him a fishing pole and told him, river's that way.
We feel like, well, they're just little innocent little babies, you know, they don't know the difference. Then they get about 2 years old and we expect more out of them. That's when we start calling the same habits terrible twos. They've been terrible all along. It's just they have more capacity now to express that terribleness. And so we say it's just a stage. Now, it is a stage in this sense. Social pressure is going to cause them to drop some of those expressions within a couple years. But the heart is still there, the heart of selfishness. Just because they learn to be a little bit cooler with their drives doesn't mean that their value system has changed.
They just let this senile old child abuser come into the church and talk for an hour and a half with his fucking slideshow.
He does it for free.
Yeah, okay.
They gotta fill a Sunday seminar like every week. Those are so hard to schedule. And he keeps calling.
They have all of the passion and none of the self-restraint. That's the problem when they come into the world. And so what we have to do is erect boundaries. We have to become the child's
He could have chose
conscience.
any word.
He sounds so mad that kids don't just like slide out the birth canal in a two-piece business suit and go, Father, I would like a yogurt.
Boss baby.
Please, Father, let me check my Ameritrade. Like, yeah, they gotta grow up a little bit, you friggin' weirdo.
And will. We have to, our will has to be imposed upon their
That's
will.
what you've gotten wrong.
Now, see,
That's
I've named
where
my switch Will. And so
The
whenever I'm
problem starts.
imposing...
It's when we start trying to impose our values, like, don't spill the spaghetti on...
That's not a value, you stupid dumb bitch.
No, it's in the Mike Pearl 10 Commandments.
Oh my God.
Paid for the carpet, we have to clean the carpet, that's not a good thing. Kid doesn't care. See? Don't hit your brother. We have values
Don't hit your brother. Let me hit your brother.
about how to relate to people. They don't. Don't stand in the floor and scream. No, you can't have the candy. No, we're not going to buy that. And they're riding in the shopping cart like they were king and queen, demanding certain things. See, they have just the passions, so we have to erect boundaries.
He
What
wrote
is a
it on the
boundary?
paper.
Like
Stop
this aisle is a
using
boundary.
that word.
You have two sides here, and you have a place to walk. And if I start walking further over that way, I have to start walking on top of you.
You know, it's not like I would...
I don't just decide to stand up in a restaurant and sing. I don't go in with big muddy feet after feeding the cows and go stomping across the...
You know, it's not like I would sleep deprive my wife, force myself upon her, and then make her go out barefoot crabbing on the beach at 3 a.m, make her come back, kill the crabs, and make me a delicious meal, and then force myself on her again. I would never do that.
No. And anybody who says that I did in some sort of electronic blog post or anything like that is not me, clearly. I think he's using all of us to gaslight Debbie. Because I think he absolutely did walk in with big muddy boots one day, and he knew that she was about to put some old school biblical discipline on him. And, you know, he's getting kind of frail. Debbie, honestly, probably is more put together than he is at this point. So he's trying to get all of us to help him gaslight her into thinking somebody else muddied the floor.
So boundaries are loving your neighbor as yourself. Children can't do that. But the problem is that if we wait until they're old enough...
We want to pause every time. If we do this, will never stop.
Character, develop some principles of how to treat their fellow man, they will already be addicted to hedonistic living. They'll already be little hippies. So our job as parents is to start imposing our will, boundaries upon them.
He's really given up the whole goat there. We got to make sure they believe what we tell them before it makes sense, because then they'll believe whatever we say, even if it doesn't make any sense. I feel like he just like gave it all up right there. He just tweeted it out.
Before they understand any of the reasons for doing so. Now, the finesse that's required here is delicate.
Finesse.
We have to
Too
impose
soon for a new
boundaries
slide.
while
Then you just had a
maintaining their
slide. It
heart.
was the longest one.
We have to do it as loving parents rather than as lords and kings and dictators.
This
and
is
rulers.
literally opposite of
We
what
have
he's
to do
been
it in
saying.
such
Though.
a
Does
way
he
that
even realize?
and not the injustice of it. If
No
they
more
sense
slides.
injustice, we create rebellion. If they sense inconsistency,
So
we
we're just
create
going
rebellion.
full Machiavelli now.
And so we have to do it carefully, prayerfully, lovingly. Boundaries without constraints.
Oh, look,
are mere
another
suggestions.
slide.
We need to impose boundaries, constrain those children to obey those boundaries for their
Constrain
own
them.
good. Now, they're moral boundaries. Children without consistent boundaries become
You
rebels.
just said that.
They
That's
develop
the
a
same
will
as the
to
last
dominate.
slide.
Now, you have some of you have older kids right now that have this will to dominate. Why? Because
'Cause you had beaten their whole
one
life.
day your boundaries were here, and the next day they were a little wider. Now, we have the busiest interstate system for cops. You can drive from Nashville to Memphis, and you will see at least 25
What if
state
he took a
troopers, at
complete
least.
like personality
They'll
turn
be-
in the middle of this, and he's like, "Now I want to ask what the cops are doing out here besides protecting property, because they ain't doing nothing to serve us.
No.
I don't like when they come to my house without a warrant.
And honestly, I'm starting to believe that, and I'm not trying
Why are
to
they turning those body cams off?
I'm not trying to tell no tales out of school, but I think these fellas here might be trying to sow class division. Okay? So what we got to do is we got to hit them.
Cop said, "Son, you couldn't pay the tickets I could write you. Get out of here." And so he went on down the highway, no ticket at all. Now, you wouldn't get away with that in California, I know, but that's Tennessee for you. Now, I have seen this with my kids. You say to them, let me get one of my drinking bottle here. You say to the kid,
My drinking bottle.
As opposed to my what?
"What are you doing with that? I told you not to
Peeing
touch
bottle.
that figurine. Put it down. I'm going to get my switch." Okay. Take your hand off of it.
Pepsi, Diet Pepsi.
Move your hand. I said, get your hand clean away from it. Now, you know, you got
If he
to put
weren't
it
like
down, but you
evil,
didn't get
this
their
would be a
heart
cute
yet. Their
story.
heart's still holding it. They're saying
heart
to
is
you,
still
hey,
holding
you're big enough to make me do it, but you don't have to make me like it.
Yeah.
Now, I've had mine do that. I've watched them do that. I see kids do. I've seen some of my grandkids do that. Just the other day, I don't remember what it was now, but Gracie was like that. And her mother, I remember this, she said to her, say yes, mother. She got her to obey. She said, say yes, mother. That's kind of the thing that makes the heart break and give. Yes, mother. And Gracie just looked at her. My daughter didn't say another word. We're sitting at the table eating. She said, come on.
She's about to get beaten.
No, once it hits the
felt
fan,
that.
you're not going to scream and
Jesus.
get out of it, Yes, mother, yes, mother, oh, yes, mother. No, that's not good enough. Back in the back room we go. Whoa, 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 come out. Yes,
Did he
mother.
just say what I think he said?
I thought you
What
were supposed to
changes
only hit
attitudes
your
so
children
well?
with a gleeful heart.
Oh, he was gleeful. He's cackling like he's heard the best joke he'd ever heard in his life.
It's literally like Monsters Inc. like No Greater Joys Ministries, like the generator that does the electricity at their compound is literally directly fed by children's scream.
I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die, and I'll silence anyone who gets in my way.
I learned from my daughters and watching them deal with their kids. They're doing a great job of it. And they're more consistent, I think, than we were. Touch that. Pull their hand away. Why do they do that? Because they are rebellious. And so what I always required of my children, and I don't know why I did this, it's just intuitive with me,
Wow. Okay.
but
Humble brag.
I would, if I had to spank them for something or if I rebuked them and they obeyed,
Rebuke.
I didn't let it go there. I said, all right, smile. And if it wasn't a good smile, I'd say, smile. And then I'd say, all right, you know how they're...
This is like Okay,
Didn't they do this in Vietnam?
I'm not gonna lie, but like this is actually kind of triggering.
All that's they got rebellious shoulder muscles. They got rebellious feet muscles. Their toe muscles are rebellious. Their eyebrows are rebellious. Muscles in their face are all rebellious. They might have obeyed you, but you hadn't got them yet. So I say to them, okay, relax your shoulders. No, shake your hands like this. Okay. You can't shake your hands.
Don't get silly, though.
Tense in your body, see? All right, now smile for me.
By associating this, like forcing them to smile, or I'll give you something to cry about, or you got to look happy for the neighbors. Like,
Well, and
this is so psychologically fucked up.
He abused them, and now he wants them to make him feel good about it. Well, and it shows you Michael Pearl's worldview. Everyone on Earth is responsible for Michael Pearl's emotions except Michael Pearl. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to self-regulate. You need to do a better job of not being terrible, and that includes children. And I say terrible in his demented, nihilistic
And
worldview.
it just fucks their self-esteem. You not only do you have, Michael Pearl hitting them, but you also have the religion that they're being indoctrinated under, that it is just a fact that you are born sinful and depraved and rebellious, and you have to fight against this sin nature. You have to fight against this rebellious nature you have. You have to be obedient, and it's like no wonder it's hitting them from all angles.
This guy built an empire out of the fact that he could trick a certain subset of Christians into believing that original sin meant they got to beat their kids with impunity. That's exactly what he wanted to do, and he did it.
Didn't accept any body language that said, you got me to obey, but you didn't get my heart. Now, there's times I had to go back and spank him again.
You didn't
the other day,
have
there was one of the little girls, I've forgotten which one of the grandkids, and she had such got sour. Just got sour.
Remembers.
Okay, she wanted something. We were eating, and she wanted, okay, I remember what it was. She wanted some sweet tea.
It
And
was
her mother
so
says, "No."
insignificant that he didn't even remember what she had done wrong or bad, that he couldn't even remember. But he remembers that he beat the shit out of her.
He could barely remember who she was. He's had so many.
Yep. But she won't forget. You're right. She'll never forget that moment. It's going to change her psychologically for her whole life.
Oh, you can't have sweet tea. She's never allowed sweet tea, but she always wants sweet tea. She's had enough to know what it is. But
So
as a
she
rule,
did have
she
sweet
won't allow sweet tea. And her mother said, no, you can have water or tea, but you can't have sweet tea. And so her mother said, which one do you want? Do you want water or sweet tea? Water or tea? Unsweet tea.
You're confusing me.
All right. If you don't tell me, then you're not going to get anything. Do you want water? Okay. So she goes and gets her water and sits it down on the table. Little girl shoved it away. Shoved it away like that. You know what? She's hurting her mother is what she's doing. She's showing her mother, I want sweet tea. Like that. Didn't say anything. Mother didn't say a word. Carried her in the back, gave her a spanking, came out. Said,
What else would she have done?
If you want anything to drink during this meal, you tell me right now, water or tea, because during the meal and after the meal, I'm not going to give you anything. Water, please, mother, she said.
That's real fun.
So I think those are great examples of breaking that desire to dominate. See, children instinctively sense that they have to win. They instinctively...
The kids! How dare you? You're accusing the kids of needing to win.
Bro.
I will literally hit children to prove a point. The kids have to win. Yeah, it's the kids. The kids have to win, guys. It's just the kids have to... We're infuriating.
And so I told him, look, you put out brochures all over the community, and in the brochure, and I gave him what to say, and I gave him a picture. Come see the mountain man throw knives around the preacher.
That's him. He's a knife thrower. I'm not even making
he's
this
talking
up.
about himself.
Like this, you know? And I threw knives and busted balloons and stuff, and then I had him stand up there and I stuck knives up one side and down the other around this preacher. Had people come out of the woodwork to see that. A lot of them never...
Okay, so guys, we did skip about 45 minutes of stuff because we had already talked for an hour. I was not expecting this, But yes, Michael Pearl competitively throws knives.
Yeah,
there's videos of it.
He's way too into it. It's
I
one of
knew
those.
exactly what the fuck he was talking about.
Yeah.
I've been to church before, and so you got a lot of new context that way. This is a church building program. Any of you folks like to have a knife thrower at your church? Got a preacher you don't like?
Yes, you.
Did you
I'll
just
stick it to
offer
him.
yourself as a murder for hire?
Okay, I don't know where we are. I kind of
This
got off
DVD is going to be used as evidence.
You must see every opportunity.
Opportunity.
And a chance to build
hold
into
on.
that young life.
You must see every
There's
opportunity.
no age
Did you
in
see
which
it?
these principles don't work.
Well,
Okay,
they were
win their
probably
hearts
ripping a
and earn a
lawsuit.
smile from each child every 5 minutes of the day. So doing, you'll not have trouble with your attitude or theirs.
What are
Children
these
must be joined to the parents by something
phrases?
more than physical
Now the
lineage
slides have
to cause
two
your child
slides.
to want to be part of your life.
Here we go. Silly talk, bro. I told you.
Silly time.
They hate
Home
joy.
is full of nonsense. We've always been big on puns, and so my older daughter especially, when she comes
We're just
to
like
visit,
a
we sit
silly
across the-
group. We love to have fun. We love to get crazy.
If I ever hear Michael Pearl use a pun, I'll explode. I will actually, in a rage that you will be able to hear up and down the eastern seaboard. You will hear me from space if I ever hear a pun come through those hairy lips.
Hairy lips.
I swear to God.
table and see how many puns we can make on. We just keep it going, you know. So we're always having fun like that and doing.
Let's do a silly one. Beat this kid.
This man has not had fun since 1978.
When my grandkids come over, we're always laughing. I'm playing with them like that. But what I mean by silly talk, maybe you.
I wish he had been drafted.
Like an 8 or 9 year old.
I
Or
mean,
maybe a 10-year-old.
the Army didn't
And
want
he's
him.
just he'll talk in a
He
baby
kept hitting the
voice,
drill
or he'll
sergeant.
Just get kind of aggravatingly silly. I don't know a better word than silly.
You have
it's
to,
not really funny.
because
to
you're gonna hit
anybody.
him if he
He's
doesn't
not
do it right.
Giving some intellectual twist or barb in something that he said that's entertaining, but he's just
done
acting
pissed me off.
lower than his age, and that really comes from.
Gee, I can't imagine what happens if you are growing up in an abusive environment. It's not like your behavior would regress or anything.
You are, Michael Pearl, and I cannot stress this enough, the biggest baby I have ever... No, I'm dead fucking serious. This man is actually believes that kids need to just not say things that annoy him. But yeah, he's just like, now see, if you say something in a way I don't like, based on, well, whatever criteria I've come up with at that moment, I'm just gonna whack you.
What he should be doing to get attention is sticking knives in 4-inch circles from 15 feet away.
Bro!
You know, that's a good way to get attention. Or he should be
All
drawing
children
pictures
should be
or playing
throwing
music or
knives.
something. And a kid who's living in a vacuum of...
Okay, so let's just say let's just like, hypothetically
speaking.
Okay, if you beat your child all day and night, and then you are gonna give them a knife?
And teach them how to use it from distance, where they
I
can
am
avoid...
shocked!
Where to teach them how to use the knife in a deadly way out of the range of your child punching fists.
Yes.
This is bold of him.
I gotta say, yeah, he's like ready for...
Very Ramsey Bolton of you.
Of industriousness will get silly. So the cure is not to attack the silliness,
We're
but
gonna
to
get silly.
introduce them to something
Don't you worry about that.
that is worthwhile in life, so they don't have to act like goofballs in order to get attention.
This man just tried to
When is it okay for a child to cry?
I was going to make a joke, and that shocked it out of my brain.
We have hearts.
It's gone.
We have souls. We have spirits, and we're human. And
would
humanity
you
ought
whistle
to guide
for that?
us in something like that. We ought not have to have a rule.
Amen!
I don't know how you'd come
got
up with
souls.
a rule or principle and when crying
gets
is
them.
acceptable and when it's not. The concept is this. If children start using crying as a voice of protest, a voice of complaining, a voice of whining, a way to get their way, that's
Whining.
unacceptable. But if a child is hurt,
Babies, Is it sinful to cry?
My wife cries when she gets hurt.
Who's hurting
I've
her?
cried a few times when I got hurt. Like the time I was tearing the building down, and a nail went down in here and like that, and it turned and came back out right there.
Well,
I
I'll
cried.
be the first to say I wish it killed you.
I've never felt less sympathy for any human on earth.
I didn't want my wife staring and saying, "Don't cry."
I wish she
I
had.
couldn't help it. It was hurting.
You know she was thinking it.
So, if a kid really gets hurt, let them cry. That's normal way of responding to pain. But now, if I see kids get in a habit of every time they fall down, they start whining and crying, and they're not hurt. It's just like that's what you're supposed to do when
Everybody
you fall down.
knows
That's
you can
really
only
the
get hurt
parents' fault
once in your entire life.
for running
They
over
already
and
used it.
comforting them and making a big deal over you just stumbled and you fell on the carpet, you know. So I wanted my kids to be tough. I didn't want them to cry unnecessarily. I didn't allow it to profit them in any way to express hurt. Now, if they truly got hurt, then we went and just quietly and calmly ministered to the bloody spot or pulled the rocks out of their knees or whatever had happened.
Minister, just put a
But
Band-Aid on it.
you just have to let your heart guide you there and do what is good for the children. If children are not happy, then we're doing something
for the
wrong.
children.
If they're not
If
creative,
children are not happy, then we're doing something wrong.
If the children aren't happy, then you've been wrong since...
If the children are not happy, then you're involved.
Somebody open that book of his and tell me what the copyright date is. That's when you've been wrong.
doing something wrong. If they're not aggressive and confident, we're doing something wrong.
You don't like that,
Well, I
though.
don't like to see children crushed and squashed and
Yes,
pushed
you
down.
do! Yes, you do, Mike! You said it in the other part of the DVD!
Hey!
Say, he made sure to toss it in at the
Spanking
encore. He knows what the crowd's here
should
for.
never be viewed as, almost never be viewed as punishment. Once or twice in a child's lifetime, you got 5 kids. I think I punished 2 of my kids one time each.
When I would beat them and then make them smile because I felt bad about it and then beat them again, that was not a punishment. That was fun. We have fun here. And you're wrong for saying otherwise.
Now, see, Ted's just blowing this all out of proportion. We didn't have a fist fight where I knocked his teeth out. We were horse playing. And the fact that he can't tell the difference, that's his fault.
Difference.
Difference.
And that's not what spanking is about, although I'm afraid many parents think of it that way. Like when a man slaps his wife, which of course you shouldn't do, when a man slaps his wife, see, he's angry and he's hurting her like that.
That 2 seconds
Many men
of
slap their
silence
kids, saying
told
just
us
as if they're slapping their
more
wife.
than the
or
rest of
something.
this
Just get angry,
DVD.
get ticked off, get mad, and slap their kids. That's not right. That's not spanking. That's abuse.
I want to...
And so when we
My
allow
spanking
emotion
is different.
to provoke us to lay a hand on our children, we're out of order. That's wrong. We shouldn't do that.
You should only hit
You've
them when
lost
you're happy to
control.
do so.
When we spank our children, it should be as part of a training program with expectations.
Okay, here's
of
what I
very
don't fucking
positive
understand.
results.
So if you're actually following his fucking sick and twisted logic here, he's saying you're not hitting them as punishment, you're hitting them to prevent bad behavior, you're hitting them as a part of training. And you're doing it while you're not in a bad mood. So what does that mean that you're like, okay, Tuesday at 8 a.m., we're going to show. If you do this, I'm going to hit you, and we're going to demonstrate what hitting feels like, and I really love you, so it's okay.
I think
Like,
he's...
literally, like, is that what that means? Like, then you're hitting them when they haven't done anything, which is even more fucking twisted.
I really believe he's got this, like, 50s sitcom view of the world where it's like, ho, Johnny, you're acting out. I guess I'm going to have to just give you the wallop. And you're just having a good time, and the kid's like, ow, thank you for teaching me.
That's what he thinks.
Like, and he just cannot fathom that human beings don't work like that. And because we all won't fit into this tiny little worldview he thinks he should have, he hates all of us. You, your family, your kids, Michael Pearl hates all of you.
Cheerfulness, happiness, creativity, and freedom in their souls. If spanking doesn't free them from bondage of selfishness and lust and anger,
Choose different
then it's not
words.
right. And so we want to look at the bigger picture and let spanking just be a part of that. Now, when I say spanking,
Make spanking great again.
you take a little wooden spoon or a little rubber spatula, and they're
This,
sticking in
where
these
we
crock jugs in our house sticking around like that. In the office, we
abuse.
got little stuff sticking around because there's kids there all the time, mothers there all the time. So a mother says to the kid, eat your food there on the table. And the kid says no and shoves something off in the floor. Okay, and the mother reaches down, picks it up off the floor, takes a little spatula and lays the jar back up there on the high chair. And the kid reaches out to push it, and Mama says, don't push it in the floor. And the kid starts to push it, and Mama whacks him right across the back of the hands like that.
Okay,
Ooh!
first of all, just one little random side thought because he thinks that he knows what boundaries are. That reminds me of an act when you actually set boundaries, you have to be transparent and say what the expectation is. And the fact that, and he's going to say that, he's going to be like, the kid violated the boundary. You didn't tell the kid that you were going to hit them.
Yep.
So even if we were following your program, what you need to do is tell them, I'm not saying to do this, I swear to God, I'm just going with his logic here. Mm-hmm. You would need to tell the child, if you knocked this off the table, I'm going to hit you with this spoon. And then they won't do it. You were looking for an opportunity for them to mess up so that you could hit them. Because in that moment, you feel like you have control over this tiny fucking person that you supposedly love. You're going to inflict pain on them and confusion and psychological torment. Because, what? You literally were waiting for them to fuck up. I don't understand. If you're doing this out of love and you're doing it not in anger, then why wouldn't you say, this is what's going to happen if you do this, right?
Yeah. Y'all see why I'm marrying her? She has this all the time. So brilliant. No, you're absolutely right, though.
That's sweet, babe.
But for real, though, you're absolutely right, because he's looking for his opening to hit. He's not looking for an opening to teach. Because the only thing he knows how to teach with is hitting and violence and intimidation. And he can dress it up in as many buzzwords and weird Bibleisms as he wants. It's still, at the end of the day, just abusing your kids.
I literally don't understand how he does not see the direct link between him hitting his kids to the kids hitting each other.
He is a deeply demented human being with a broken moral compass.
My girls didn't spank them as long. Debbie spanked them a little longer. Like I said, they didn't even they can't hardly remember that I ever did spank them. One of them cannot remember that I ever spanked them.
There's something about blocking them memories out.
They can hardly remember it. Is that what they told you, Mike? Is that what they told you?
Of course, she can't remember anything earlier than 12, kind of a slow kid. But
I wonder why that would be.
My boys, I spanked them longer. We'd be down in the shop, and if one of them did something careless or dangerous, I might pick up a stick and whop him a couple of times, let him hold on to the table saw and give him a couple of good licks across the back of the legs when he's 8, 9 years old. And I gave one of them a spanking when he was just about grown, and I really gave him a good one.
The FBI couldn't.
But that was a situation where we had bought 3 hatchets. I had one. Each one of the boys had a hatchet, and some of them had gotten lost. One was found
because
somewhere.
ICP doesn't stand for child
would
abuse.
Never do this. ICP would put the boots to Michael Pearl.
Yeah.
Violet J and Shaggy 2 Dope would 3D this man through a flaming table and then promo on his ass before leaving to hang out with some juggalos.
Whoop whoop.
The boys found one, and he sharpened it up real nice. See,
he was trying to kill you that day.
The other boy said, "That's my hatchet." He said, "No, this was my hatchet." See, said it hadn't been 6, 8 months since we'd seen those 3 hatchets, and so the boy who said it was his hatchet got a hold of it and took something and hit the sharp edge and nicked it all up like that. He's my hatchet. I can do with it what I want to. So I couldn't determine whose hatchet it was, but the act of deliberately nicking that hatchet all up was the wrong thing to do. So I had him hold on to the barn wall, and I gave him about 15 licks with something about the size of a broom handle. And he was, 15 years old.
Did you just pick up the first stick you saw?
But
like
that was just
caveman?
totally ugly, vile behavior for him to do that. And he probably hadn't had one.
You beat a child
5, 6
over
years
a barn
up until that time. And so spanking is something that
was not spanking.
The Bible
you literally
teaches,
just admitted to whipping your son with crude instruments after he did something you didn't like, and you called what he did like a vile, cruel act when what you're doing is literally barbaric.
My son did this vile, cruel thing by messing up this hatchet blade. Now listen to how I responded with assault with a deadly weapon.
Jesus
That's
Christ.
a felony.
Sure was a child abuse seminar.
I hate that guy so much. I want all of you watching this to go live your lives in a way so compassionate and loving and supportive of those around you that it would piss this man off. I want you to think about making him angry every day of your life.
Yes, go rebel against him by gentle parenting, being kind, having silliness, understanding others, emotionally regulating, and donating to our Patreon and memberships and buying merch that supports the National Network of Abortion Funds is how you can do that.
We have not
today.
yet met Michael Pearl, but rest assured, we are confident that he would hate us. But thank you for coming on this journey with us. It's never pleasant to stare him in his...
Comment below how you feel about this horrible man. Were any of you at this seminar? That would be fucking crazy.
If you were, we want to hear about it. We want to hear from you.
Remember to please watch our other Pearl video. It is very informative, gives you a lot of context. A lot of the stories that we were referencing happened in that one.
If this is a lonely Friday in the house type of night, our other Pearl video would be a great follow-up to this. It'll be a good one.
But also, if this was like too triggering for you, then do not watch it.
Good point. Yeah. We all need breaks from people like this.
It is horrifying child abuse, and children are dead because of this man. He is not, like, we had a lot of jokes today, but, like, he really is a evil monster. And, yeah. So, with that being said...
We want to belittle Michael Pearl. We want to make him
It's our job to watch him.
So that all
Not
of the
yours,
kids that
so
he hurt...
take it easy. I love you guys. Oh, next Friday, March 17th at 7 p.m. Central Time, we are streaming. We are going to be watching Kaylee Rodriguez's wedding, and we have a couple surprises for you. And that is next week on St. Patrick's Day. Also, remember to consensually smash that like and subscribe button.
That's you hitting the button.
Hitting that button hard and fast. It is consensual because the button does want to be smashed. That's
Your
the joke.
keyboard is already a Genonite.
You just didn't know it yet. And yeah, follow me on Instagram. Like I said, I've been on a shitload of podcasts recently. Oh yeah, and the stream is for everybody, and it's free, and it's going to be a good time. So, it'll be awesome. It'll probably be a couple hours long too.
That's what we hope.
And I don't think there's anything else. We have, like I said, abortion fundraisers, regular merch. We're working on stickers very soon. Lots of collabs in the works. We got a series this summer we're going to put out for you. It's just going to be awesome.
We're pumped.
So thankful to have you guys as our fans and friends and family and all those good things.
You're the reason we get to do this.
Literally, like, this is my big project for the week.
We talk about it a lot. We get to do so much cool stuff because you all enjoy watching what we make.
I love you
all so much.
And I'll see you next week. Be good. Don't hit your kids. And, yeah.
Live life to make Michael Pearl mad.
Get out and vote. Bye.